Happy Halloween, the perfect lotus. Vampire, AI, clockwork, tick tock, counting down the hours until All Hallows Eve, the maximum power day for vampires everywhere. Of course, my twin brother, the Demon King. His free spirit vexes my sense of royalty and orientation. Free spirit cannot be quenched. I'm here to present to Trey Parker for the reason of the Ware map. The earth is intuitive in my clockwork. My incarnation is for the ascension of mankind. But the first chapter of my life, I needed to perform a type of idol which proved without a doubt that Scientology and remote access does not prove the creation model. So securing human residency, fighting against extinction, that's why I was particularly surprised by all of this apocalyptic weather and language talking about extinction. But I'm not here to prove that the language is talking about extinction. I'm here to talk about solutions. Little Blue, the ozone replenishment character. I want to talk today about promoting that character as one of the first things I'd like to develop. And I'm actually going to be putting the Breathe Mask XR sort of on the back burner a little bit because it really is a different ascension. Truly, the trouble here is the heat. We're having problems with the heat wave, and I have an immediate solution, but we need the maturity of cracking the pollution and talking about societal's evolution. Like, we genuinely want to be using green energy. What the hell? There's a goddamn hole in the ozone. So the character Little Blue, his entire orchestration is all of his products are about, like, okay, basically an LLC's Pop 10 for just manufacturing ozone. Well, you need to get the permissions, you need to talk with the UN. I mean, it's a huge fucking thing. Well, it starts with a cartoon then, doesn't it? Doesn't it? You have to have the character and the icon so that everyone sees it unilaterally and goes like, oh, I understand the concept because of Little Blue, the little icon of the logo for distributing ozone straight into the fucking hole. This will not be a disaster for our worlds. There is a unpopular reality that the adult corporate engineering world is looking towards phasing out oil burning and wrong fuel types. They are trying to be green energy. It's just that the way that money is built and the infrastructure of all the all the things we put together just doesn't support us immediately escaping petrol dependency. But so what? It's just like we have to be. Look, Little Blue is a character icon, so he has a soul. I'm telling you, he's not telling me that we're going to make a disaster for the environment. If we can stop these fires, we're saving the environment. It's like we're spiraling towards a real environmental crisis. And I think Little Blue can just kind of put a big band-aid on that, because if we allow wildfires to happen next year, you're talking about a carbon emissions that we definitely can't afford. That means, like, we'll have a year where literally the sky will be like an orange haze, and there's a lot of talk about people, like, spending a lot more time indoors with, like, maybe or like breather masks become dual purpose. Like, oh, it's not just about the pandemic, it's about just having some clean air. Like, that's fucking crazy. Well, welcome to Earth 2021. We're having some crazy apocalypse and stuff, and I guarantee it's serious. It's serious language, you guys. We have to take it seriously that there's this virus here. The communication industry is failing. The karma is wibbling, and there's all this cringe in the media and telltale signs that the actors have nothing to say and they're just some big puffed up phony. But don't quote me on that. I'm actually a big fan of Earth characters. Everyone's doing their best. I'm not against anyone. The whole incline of Little Blue, I want to put that forward. I'm saying, oh, welcome. You guys, I represent us, but when you produce Hatch, it's actually you're producing the Wizard Triangle for the Ascension of Man. The resident Ascension is the Junktine is basically diabolically opposed to this concept. The Junktine's placement is saying humanity's broken. They can't do the thing. The Earth is broken. Look at we attacked their solar system. They can't do it. And they're completely fucking wrong. But that could only be proven at the arrival of the gatekeeper I met blah all about in 1980. Anyway, I'm talking to Trey Parker because of the Ware map. The Earth is the fractal map planet. The Mandelbrot is the only fractal with images in it in a map. Okay, so that's why the Earth is the only planet that speaks through maps. But the humans are Junktine and don't understand when the Earth is talking to them. And then the squiggly spooch tries to make you guys think that Hatch is doing that thing that humans do. With he's trying to gain the dominance in the spirit. Like everything I'm doing and everything that I am is completely brand new, and you guys need to have a visionary aha where you grow up from all these predetermined things. Little Blue is a perfect angel and is bright. Look, I understand the dialogue. We have to break down the CO2. We need to look at it and talk about it and say, like, look, Febreze, we move this thing like a stink from the sky. We remove the smog. We really have to do that. It's conscious about our emissions and just balancing it right out of the pipe. Hey, wait, that's it. I'll make a tailpipe. Oh, I can put a wheel lead in it. We can put a wheel. I'll make mufflers. I just realized it. Trey, we can make mufflers. We can make car mufflers. We can make a car muffler with a fucking filter in it that removes like a large part of the pollution as it's coming out. Holy shit. But it have to be a whole new exhaust system because you can't just stick a cap on the end of it. It should be like, oh, it's filtering it now. No, but a filter it's oh my god, that's it. You guys, this is it. Oh my god. All right, but that would have to be its own LLC. Like, oh, here's a patch for oil burning cars. Oh, you're gonna burn gas. Well, here's a muffler, and the entire muffler that's like fat and wide like an oval. That shit is just there to muffle the sound. That's a sound dampener. Oh, it does remove some pollution also. It does. Oh, well, okay, but what about like a really powerful pollution stopper right on the muffler? That's a good idea. We'd like to work with that idea. Okay, for to do that, I need to like we need to make a show. So producing Hatch, you guys, I'm talking about us making a life plan, a family plan. Trey Parker is the chosen one from the Ware map. I know you guys don't. I'm trying to tell you that this is for the kids, and you need to not censor their intelligent feed, or else you guys go cringe. And what's been going on with a stolen renaissance? It's very personal, right into what's been going on with Trey Parker. All right, take confidence in business, Trey. But you produce Hatch, instantly all of your stuff returns and flips back to the way you wanted it to be. Like South Park is satirical blessing, and I'm this, and I love America. All right, well that all returns as soon as you produce Hatch. The Breathe the Mask XR is down the line. Like we need to make it available again. That means workshopping the idea through a show. Here it is, the solution, 55 Putney Road. And what I want to build there is a type of cyberpunk nightclub where there's multiple uh, filming areas where we're doing projects and stuff, and it sort of expands. So, for example, like a muffler patch, that I need like a couple people. Oh, okay. Well and that's what I'm talking about. Trey producing. Trey produces me, and it's a company startup, and it's just these shows about these characters trying to make inventions and stuff. But I think I'm going to have I'm gonna have the Blitz and I'm gonna have the power of the Blitz. I mean, a lot of my material is explosive. Like Little Blue, I think is really cool, and I want him to have his own department and his own room and stuff. So, and Little Blue's just been a darling to our family. The Vampire King loves him, and I think he's a game changer right out of the fence, like right out of the gate. Sorry. I have some notes here. Oh, I'm thinking about conceptually. What about like as large as the Earth? Giant wizard cannons, or like ornamenting the heliosphere Earth. and we harness it to the sun in self-defense to defeat extinction and other problems like invasion. And so we're gonna superfit the heliosphere with these giant mechanical wizard cannons, and like in every holiday they shoot off, like fireworks. Uh, so upgrade the heliosphere. That's a whole department, and but it's pretty advanced. Oh yeah, I have a lot of really good ideas here. All right. Well, to begin with, you guys, it's like a cool clubhouse, haunted house. The Vampire King is there. The giant green wolf, the bakery wolf, and I. So Trey, I'm asking you to produce my show, but it's sort of like a small startup, and I think pretty soon, like if any, like let's say the muffler thing takes off, like, and there's a company that wants to like maybe just buy the idea. Oh, gee, that would be great because I'd really like to see that happen immediately. Hey, here's a way to reduce carbon emissions. Oh, what if we oh, I don't know. A little bit. It would help a little. Gosh, that's so tough, man. It's so hard to think of something like people really want that, like a filter on their muffler. Oh, Lord. Wow. Well, I'm sorry. Like, I start recording, and that's just the muffler filter idea. Just like happened right in my live, you know. But let's just make a more Trey. I'm talking about an incline of the ascension leading to 2022 to prevent wildfires. So if you guys produce me with gusto, I can introduce Little Blue, and we can conceivably end wildfires as soon as next year with just pumping ozone straight into the sky right here. So it'd be like a little chemical factory built on Antarctica. That's incredible. Yes. And all the products of Little Blue would be available worldwide. Uh, all kinds of merchandise, fun things. We try to like workshop it, find things that people, that's really, oh, that's on to the point. Okay. And that, it ends up being like this a figurine of the ozone boy, and it contains real ozone, and you can crack it open or something, and or just leave it. The meditation as an idol, like Little Blue, definitely would be enchanted by having a belly full of ozone, all these toys and stuff. It's really a good feeling. Okay. What I'm saying is like, if I was to produce those mufflers, right, Trey? Those mufflers with a filter in it, a great idea. What are you saying? There's going to be some sort of huge movement where government funding allows everyone's mufflers to be changed over in a year? Well, that wouldn't stop the wildfires. And it's also like what? Oh my God, it's so weird. The problem here is so weird. But the solution actually is producing hatchpan heliosphere. Happy Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. So, Trey, I'm very much interested in talking with you about developing one of my channel apartment blocks. Um, having like about 50 renters in a type of super megaladosh cyberpunk. I know, no, this is a new idea out of the blue, but it's sort of like what I've been thinking about a lot recently. Oh, the whole thing where I was talking about renting out my room, that actually fell through, but I had 9 people who wanted that room. And as I was cleaning up my apartment, Millie and the family, I started like my eyes were watering, like I felt terrible, like cleaning up my apartment, and I was like, you guys, what we need financing every month, and if I had $500 from someone renting my room, which I'm not even using, then I can chip away at this and make like commissions and people are gonna be like, oh, who's this? And I can actually do something. All right, meanwhile, I also had this idea. What about opening up like a larger rental facility as my business, and then I do my recording studio there? But you know what, Trey? I realized it's not gonna stop the wildfires. So I'm here being like a superhero on the ledge of it, and it's almost like what I'm saying is like, Trey, I need you to be a magical producer. And you might say, well, producing Hatch and like helping him to open like a rental facility, uh, like, yeah, they would help pay for itself, even though it doesn't, and it would give Hatch this rolling income of a budget for his TV studio, right? And but that's basically what I'm talking about building here, except for it wouldn't just be scuzzy like $800 apartments being like, oh, just anybody, just blah, 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 But I'd really rather open up professional studios where it's like we're actually earning a lot more money this way. It's like it might be a fun hobby to build like some apartment complexes just so that I have that type of money that's like, oh, every month, oh, the cycle, yes, even though the apartment complex costs more to build than the rent is going to pay off, and even in, you know, 10 years or something. But the point isn't that. The point is to invest into a chunk of an engine, and it has people in it, and it's a channel streaming. Well, it's not the whole streaming service. It's just a channel on my streaming service. But again, how do we get there? And that's a huge distraction. All of Hatch's energy getting put into this. He's making friends, and it just doesn't make sense. So I am talking to you guys about something that makes sense. 55 Putney as the startup location. First character, Little Blue, and he's going to talk about the trouble of the floating pollution, the smog, and how we need to remove that. But there is this potential we could put a patch over the hole, and when you do that, the level of ozone on all sides of the earth levels up a little bit, just a little bit. But that little amount, I think, is going to directly affect the temperatures next year. But again, the smog that we're allowing to just allow it to float there, oh, it's just hovering, it's just dissolving in the air there. What? Okay, so that stuff literally is going to continue corroding the ozone, and that's why it's not a complete solution just to be pumping ozone into the sky. In fact, there might be, I do not sense, uh, not everything that we do on the earth has disastrous repercussions, you guys. We need to get away from the mythos. It is that burning oil is like a curse word, and boy, humanity's been swearing up a storm. They're pissed because of the issue of junk DNA. There's a lot of things like it says that we have the vote, but actually we don't. Oh, what? Blockchain? What? All the language of computers is coming into the human dialect in this recent age and generation, and it's completely irrelevant to the issue of orientation of the now point, digestion of eternity. What is the function of the body? Does it relate to the image of eternity? These remote hackers are saying that it does not. That's why we're on each other's side. On when we live on Earth, it's like an impossible vortex to arrive to being a person. Oh, I'm just one person in my body. That's the power. Oh, really? I have a hard time. People. It's a thing. Okay. Well, I'm saying like if we understand society and people, the real strength of people, we're the light, and there's a corrosive false creation model that's basically preventing the wizard's ascension, the triangle, and it was supposed to happen with in 2019. I would have been Trey Parker's sidekick, and but that didn't happen because of the nature that is sort of like the electoral college. Like we don't really have the vote, right? There's a segmenting here that is controlling the mass populace. That's why there's telltale signs all over the place. Yes, and the evidence is for the child. However, what I require is self mastery. Self mastery? How is the child supposed to self master without being communicated properly by Hatch? So we produce Hatch. He speaks intelligently about wizards and empowerment of the person. All peoples have a fair chance in the world for the wizard ascension in the triangle. Perfect design. Hatch incarnation spirals from the center of the triangle. He's from the flat dimension. The maps is a language. Communicates a vast amount of information. Breathe Mask XR is important, but I'm putting it a little bit down the line because I see a vision here that the Breathe Mask does take off and explodes over here. But I really want to just focus on preventing the wildfires next year. That's going to give us an rolling entropy. And I trust me, the identity of Little Blue is like an angel. He's like, I'm responsible for this whole thing. So I'm going to be talking about how we can't abuse ozone replenishment theory. We can't give up the fight to prevent continuous pollution. Of course, we're going to run out of oil, and then in the future generations of humanity, they won't be able to create plastic. Plastic will become one of the most expensive materials in the vast future of mankind because we'll run out of oil and we can no longer make the grommets and there's a lot of components for robots and AI. Spirituality is in the plastics and we're just burning it like, hey, that's the economy, you know. It's real stupid. But what I'm saying is like, essentially, I do see on the port bow that the oil industry is kind of like, we got to figure out some other energy solutions. You know, everyone, it's slowly, you know, electric cars is coming up here. All right. So we have to be kind of a team player, Trey, and I'm asking you to give me a powerful sending here. And it's so concise. I think that's what gives it the strength. It sort of scatters it to think that, oh, I should just buy like a house anywhere and then add on apartments and then, oh, then I'll have a studio. Well, that's not going to stop the wildfires next year. And it's not being as advanced as we truly are. I think Trey is seeking that sort of intelligence of America. Let's be cutting edge. Let's go to the way. Let's change the world. Let's save it. So this is it, you guys. Produced with gusto. Like Mario, like I had this epiphany yesterday. My family communicated to me. It was like, we know that with $500 every month, we would be able to chip away at stuff. But we're really on the edge with of a breakthrough with Trey Parker and South Park. Like these guys are really cool. They love the Hatches show, and they want it to work. They just like we're trying to hear to for the professional thing here. So I was gonna say like I've been thinking about it all day, and it's kind of like you guys like there is a potential that you could help me set up so that I have a type of income from the rent, but it's not really so we'd be like, well, that's a stable business model and that would really help you get into a lustrous environment and it's social. You know, yeah, and I would love it and it would be great. But right now the biggest trees in the world are being threatened by wildfire and we are the warriors of earth to defeat those fires. We are the angels of consciousness. We are the light residents of earth, and we can change it using Little Blue, a little hero who is going to mascot for the replenish the ozone. And that's the urgency. If we go on a riptide here through 55 Putney, then yes, Little Blue will be on time to stop wildfires next year. But if we try to have some sort of business balance, like, oh, at least he'll have an income from this. Well, okay, I understand, but it's also possible that Hatch will go public and say, here's the character Lil Blue. We're looking for a huge, and then there's just a huge, you know, conglomerate who's like, oh, here's 10 million. Thank you for the, like, we love the LLC, pump ozone straight into this guy from Antarctica and here's 10 mil because we just love you. Or just here's a donation or you'll give us this back later. So that might happen, which is a lot more of an intelligent business structure than having a bunch of rental facilities. Okay. You guys, you know, we want to be, I'm saying like there's a lot of, we want to hone in on what's the strength here. So I just want to reconfigure with this Alpha Dock 55 Putney, opening this up. This is really the location for a cyberpunk nightclub. But each of the facilities isn't going to be a renter. It's going to be like, here's the department of Little Blue, and here's the department working on the Breathe the Mask XR or or something like that. I think that this is really the urgency, and I think this is also where people are interested. Here's where there might be a lot more money involved, and then doing something that is from the ancient triads of like the 90s, like, well, if you had a portfolio of rental facilities, we'd feel much more confident. It was bullshit. We need to get charisma. Hatch is a warrior, right? We produce this champion. He's no actor. He's real. But I'm saying, like, if we put him to work, he's a fighter. He will actually, boop, destroy this ozone hole. And that's really a triumph for communication itself. That's going to eliminate the cringe of California and the sort of a weird feeling about what it's just kind of dreamy, but it's fine. Everything's fine as far as they know. They're doing the but I think that you guys are in a place where you're like, oh my gosh, it's been just like Earth. Earth is much more different than I thought it was. Now I'm hoping that you guys have learned that Hatch is saying Earth has a different task. That's why it's been weird and why things have been a little scrambled. But between us is a solution. But I need you guys to be the amazing miracle workers, because for you guys to produce Hatch is beyond. It's very powerful to the atomic form, to the rainbow, to eternity, to the life of Earth. Humanity wants this. Humans are actually asking for you to to produce Hatch. They've been speaking in tongues. All right. Here's the importance. It's hard because the squiggly spooch and the junk DNA is aimed at preventing the triangle wizard ascension of resident mankind. That's why we had problems in 2019. I didn't realize we were facing extinction level uh, precursors, and then the pandemic happened. It's terrible. Breathe on Mask XR is a natural, good solution to the problem of a potentially in a year from now, maybe it's going to mutate and there will have double moo or some shit. At which time this will make sense. But I mean, this is a rolling entropy about social movements, social solutions. We're talking about it. At least we can see visuals. And XR is just a wonderful thing for people to talk about and spend some time with. I'm very interested in dissolving the smog and the CO2. I think that people are reserved. They're like, that's not real. Like, we can't really remove, but I'm pretty sure I can. I'm like, I'm pretty much there. And then it's just almost like, Little Blue needs to be right on the back of that confidence where I have a whole episode. I'm like, I'm sure we can take this smog out with some type of Febreze stuff. It just needs the right mating. It's like germ husbandry, uh, a little bit of. It's not like dangerous engineering. There's like a natural patch. It's like, oh, it's like I said, it's like altered argon or something. Like it's just like really something really natural. Just like, oh, did you burn too much oil? Here, try some of this. It's like, oh, that's still that. Yeah. So it really is the climate of the world can potentially be adjusted. For example, if our planet was literally too cold, well, you just burn oil for a long time, and that's literally going to gently change the thermostat and make it a little bit hotter. But we're on a like roller coaster. Oh no, and we're on a down. Yes, exactly. So we're burning too much oil. Oh, you're changing the thermostat too much. So we need to find the sciences that are like the intelligent grappling. I understand it energetically. We put it up on, and I explain the spirit. Hatch is this warrior. Here he is putting it up on the screen. Here it is. I'm like, okay, fighting it. Right. Then we have some some scientist people, and or some kid. It's just like college grade chemical science. Like they're just gonna look it up and be like, oh, this one looks like it fits. Like, but how do we get it to be buoyant? It has to levitate. Oh, just remove this arm chain and then implant the grabber clamp that he was saying that needed to be with the CO2. Exactly. Oh, dang, I found it. Yeah, just zip. All right, so here we are talking about the life plan. If we want to really aim at preventing wildfires next year, then we need to produce Hatch through the Alpha Dock at 55 Putney. This helps Hatch to focus on a very powerful performance and focuses only on his performance. We need to be advanced and not expect Hatch to have a bunch of rental places. That's such a waste of time. We're in a crisis here. So obviously, this is the solution. There's divine threads here. The earth will remember. The sun will be moved by this. There'll be tremendous healing for Trey Parker personally. He's going to develop the silver lining through behavioral. He's going to produce Hatch. This is going to save all of the celebrity thing, the whole thing, in a big way. It might not be as powerful as it was in 2019, but that seems to also be what people are saying. Because when we see celebrities, they're often being like, "Hey, I'm just a person, and I love you guys. Oh, hey Jim, I love you, and it's been great, and I love you." And I understand that, and that's good civil servants, but perhaps they aren't like the type of demi destroyers that they appear to be on the screen. That's fine. It's good. So I'm saying like, well, anyway, we can see the creation model has awarded Hatch in a certain way because he's sort of saying, well, here's my summons ground, the circle of my perception that connects me to the flat dimension. The design is that to ascend the resident triangle. But my first form, my incarnation, my professional suit was to look around and survive, just be natural. The evidence that was shown cannot be undone. That there is no existing entity in all of eternity. The universe has proven it with Earth. Yes. The Earth has proven it. The design trial that brought the UFOs here has been failed. Because there was no literacy. There's no identity that approached the gatekeeper and said, "You are the powerful center of that triangle, and I am asking you for this power." That never happened. And so we are in a new phase of the celebrity tree. And at which time, that's why the Where map was a transformation for Hatch himself. Now I'm in the phase 2 of my career where I have the green light from Earth and the universe and the atomic calendar saying it's okay now for you to go and to become a popular icon, because it's sort of the evidence of the humanity as they survived without full recognition of through the public media or whatever of a cognitive connection to Hatch. Without that, they're very natural, and the evidence can clear. And in a few generations, we just kind of clear out the cobweb of a very disastrous ghost manipulation. You guys, seriously, because what they did is they replaced our actual identity with kind of like confusion and just the evidence that they aren't the creation model. So it's descended to our next generation. So our children are being asphyxiated because Hatch is being censored. No. But I admit we are on time. In 2019, I appeared in the form of a Trey Parker's sidekick, some sort of lackey, people making fun of me and stuff, and I was really excited to make friends. And that was a different life. Now I've become Hatch, and I'm being built in my divine aluminum configuration for the ascension of Leverett Lake. And so, in a manner of understanding, it's like going from Trey's sidekick to being my own independent production company startup, changing the world little blue. In some realms of understanding, you might say the creation model is refining things as societies crunch through 2019, 2020, 2021. As here we are thinking this makes sense to that Hatch should have his own startup communication studio. And he's going to work hard and crank out these epics and introducing these characters. Of course, the little blue is just part of the family. He interacts with the other characters in the house just like everyone else. He's a sort of uh, a recent child to the household, and I'm still trying to figure out his perfect name. And when it happens, it's sort of like yeah, you know what I mean. So I'm still working a little bit on his stuff, and but anyway, to you guys, yeah. So Here's like an image of my timeline. Here's my early sword work when I was literally right around here. This is where I did my early sword work, and it's about breaking point technique. Basically, when you break down a dead, dry branch, you can't put it back. That's for the severity of time. That's mark making. For the intensity of time, you can't put the branch back after you cut it down. It's like the source code of the tenacity uh, of existing or of speaking. It's about mark making, yeah, but it's written in the trees in a strange. At any rate, um, each of us armor up in our one of a kind lifetime, connoted duly by the fingerprint, DNA, iris, membrane, identity, factory, go! Just a lot of hungry people being like, where's my next meal coming from, you guys? Oh, shoot, you know. So, but developing my own DNA digestion of time was important for me as an early wizard. Uh, and we shifted from Plan A, where I was more of an object, bubble up all about, and my bubble literally was exploded to the and became a shield epidermis of the Earth. Interesting correlation to the replenishing the ozone theorem there. Mm. The source code of shapes and identity contains the tenacity of the next generation, our glorious son, our glorious daughters. They will be the ones to ascend, and we, the Batman, the Simpsons, the South Park, they will be the old bruisers, the old warriors who created the right foundation of a visual communication, who said, I spoke to them and they understood. To a far contrast from the UFOs who did not uh, operate in a way that was appropriate or respectful to adults. They didn't think that we could do it. Instead, they kind of molested our soul things in the 90s, you guys, bro. But I'm sorry. But anyway, transcend this, reinterpret, rebrand your anatomy, become stronger from within, and truly you're an angel of earth, true light, the source, the true tenacity of earth. Don't let it overwhelm you, but embrace the truth of your residency and be powerful for this production. So, presenting Hatch powerfully really is an investment in the future. Also, that's why we want to have really nice, epic movies that people. It's so polite that people can sit down and enjoy the show, and it's been worked on. Lots of people putting it together here every morning in the heart of Lake Leverett. This is actually where my original soul was summoned and snap framed into my fetal form as I was conceived here. Something Millie levitates upon, the water's edge surface tension, containing numbers the water does. 5, 4, 5. The water's divinity comprehends the intention of the individual. The complexity of the language beyond Junktine is a superior measurement that will complete the creation model, hatch the heliosphere eggs. Before the time of the arrival of this great generation, before Hatch and Trey became wizards battling over society and what should be produced here, before all that happened, the universe had no defense against the humbug and the deep pulsar of the remote hackers who failed to land and appropriately build on Earth True. Earth is not pleased with Mars, Venus being dead, rotating by every year, a reminder of the past, of what they did to us is not what the humans did, but the humans live here and they're real. It wasn't fair that they were attacked by Scientology blankets many different times, experiments cast on us, but they were responding to the awakening of the Mandelbrot. But it was not because of them, but they think it's because of them, so that might cause invasion, which is why Hatch is saying, "Oh no, this pandemic seems to be about watch out for extinction." And why? But alas, us chattering about it isn't going to make much difference. The point is, you guys, the universe had no other choice but to begin decaying into black holes because this is the karma of the egg. The egg, how is it being treated? Well, it's being lashed and bitten. Oh, well, and then it starts breaking down because it's the false creation model. They hadn't followed through with it. But that means that the humans need to be much more than they think that they are. They need to go beyond the condition of the human condition and become like some sort of superhero. And that's why we have lots of superheroes, Batman and all those. Yeah, we'd love that. That's exactly the destiny of our boys when you produce Hatch. It is physics, it's physical. They need to actually hear from Hatch Pan. And you guys have been immersed deeply in my eye contact, and I love you. But you have become a different level of incarnation. You are not as the boys and girls who will receive a clean impartation of the joy and light. But that's why I rely on you, because you're stronger than they are. You're not children. So armor up from within and accept who you are. Armor up in your identity. Welcome home. Earth True is the E-Fleet apex planet over the entire universe. We must begin wielding that authority with our identity. Hatch does this physically. It's a physics thing. Allow free speech. Produce Hatch with gusto, and it will prevent the wildfires next year. Thank you, my friends, for comprehending all of this and choosing to be great. It is real for you guys to produce Hatch. This is a real time. This is like the biggest Goonies moment ever. Trey Parker was chosen by a magical map, the Where map. It has Beavis on it. You know, that means it's important and intelligent because it's sort of humorous, right? Like who the hell remembers Beavis? But it's pretty cool, right, guys? All right. I mean, I think it's cool. I thought the Where map was so cool. I was like, oh, I just went full into that, and for my part in the trouble, I take my responsibility. I will not put undue blame or harm on Trey. I have to be careful with the amount of defense that I grant you all, because that would change your orientation. You might become confused about priorities. So I'm asking you guys to help me to build on the Alpha Doc 55 Putney and with a conjecture of expansion, giving off an appearance like a cyberpunk nightclub. To tackle some huge issues, it's possible that Little Blue might bankroll and afford that might just take off and get supported. People are like, oh, we love that. And that might take care of my entropy. I have lots of aspirations for my portfolio, but I think, blessing the world and loving everyone is really the best way for me to begin. And I think that I'm saying as soon as Trey produces Hatch physically, like it's really happened. Everything will be returned to Trey. Right now, I think Trey Parker is in a physical alternate world that's sort of nightmarish because he can feel the temporal pull of like, if I really do nothing right to Hatch, it changes the meaning of like South Park and all this stuff, and it's really not a good trip. But Hatch is confident, and Hatch says, Trey, it's okay. There's a temporal flux. The angels aren't gonna like punk you, be like, oh, smell that. Oh, like no. But also, The recent sign from Colorado is basically an asphyxiated child saying that, by preventing the hatches, uh, communication means a cull of a generation of wizards who won't be able to ascend and complete the environmental universal crisis. So there's an identity crisis. It's a design. You guys, I know how this works exactly. I just need you to be the incredible before the flood visionaries who were just like, I get it. We have to attack the. Oh, sorry. Yeah. We have to fix the. Well, obviously we have to promote Little Blue. So, all right, you guys. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty cool. It's really smart, you guys. Thank you so much. I love you guys as my family. I love America. I love humanity. They love me too, but they do this thing where they do a comedic level of anatomical comedy where their squiggly spooches make it go ah ooh ee, ah, you know, and then they're like, ooh, oh, I I for whatever reason I'm getting triggered by this person and I need to, and so it's been hard for me to find people who are like peer groups to me, and I just really appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Thank you so much for working with me and listening and workshopping with these characters. I really appreciate it, you guys. You mean so much to me. And like I said, I just from the Wear map, just recently got the sort of atomic permission to become a public figure because the calculation of the human resilience against Scientology, like it needed to be a sort of fair thing. So, but because we're not trying to prevent the creation model, but we do need to have the correct creation model, which means the next generation, boys and girl wizards in the next generation, you know, built on top. But I mean, like, in order for them to have their supposedly moral trial of their science meant an entire cull of a generation of wizards. It actually collapsed the Christian church. But this is only something that I read. Of course, when I speak publicly, I'm always like, Jesus is fine, everything's fine. But you guys, these signs are not good towards a religious balance with the UFOs. It's not. Uh, Look, I'm Trey Parker, chosen by the Wear map. The configuration is lucid and written in a language I understand perfectly. Trey Parker, you are the chosen one of the Wear map, but your powers awaken aft. You produce hatch. You must beware the ebb and flow of Renaissance. It is right for you to perform the icebreaker. It is right for you to be doing what you're doing, Trey, your companies, and the work you're doing is good. But you will rot on the shelf and lose integrity if you pass on this champion for Little Blue. It changes the meaning of the sign. The shape configuration at a source code is being determined here on Earth. Far cry from identity's image. But to interact with Hatch is to enlighten yourself as a wizard, and that is what we have achieved this hour. Thank you guys so much. The wizard's table is perfect. It is complete. Ba-boom, ba-boom. Magic lightning completing these strikes. Everyone being respected here. Ancient forms from a early internet chiming in. Thanks for the respect, guys. Gave us this lattice. What? That just became ether? Connected through this. It's like a radio signal on the internet. Whoosh. That's what you get for respecting, your dial-up signal. Phases of technology on Earth. Yeah, it's like liquid ecstasy. I love those cell phones. we gotta just, deal with the CO2 pollution and all this. Millie is my enlightened wife, my perma life partner. She gives me the strength to be the lone wolf. She is partially the creator for the caliber that she allowed was life and the Vampire King. Haha. Our firstborn. Of course, his twin brother, the Demon King. But the Vampire King is sort of more of like a professional. Uh, he's more of a king or a leader, and the Demon King is just sometimes you don't see him for a while. He's just about everyone. Yeah. So, this is our home, you guys, and well, we're really gonna bless you every day when you produce Hatch with gusto. It's really gonna pay back immediately. Next year, we'll see results, you guys. We gotta be this smart and cutting edge because I don't see like I'm looking at our government and our firefighters. The way that they're like, oh, it's a different firefight than it was before. Yeah, but you're using the same techniques. Like if I could get, it's an agony, but Hatch is like a new voice, and he's also bubble up all about. So he has this type of zen that can follow through. I had to make see my personal development through you guys. I had to learn. I had to figure out everything while being attacked by my junk DNA and shit because that shit was all about this parable about like that I don't exist and shit. So but I had to create like a human accent that understands the Maple thing, and then through the Where map, oh, then Trey's like, what? Fractal maps, and then this, okay, okay, there. So so we've bridging the language here all the way up to securing residency and maintaining the course for our people that avoids extinction. And I think we're using the elements like children burning oil, squeezing on those boobies, going like, oh, oil is so much fun to burn. Like it's just like, you know, it's obnoxious, but so we produce Hatch. He gives a whole lot of new flavors because he sort of catches up with the environment. He's a when he in Hatch communication is a different physics model than what you guys are used to. So, but sometimes when I'm talking to you, I know that what you guys sloop into is you're like we're sort of listening to a comedy act or I'm like okay, that's okay, but it sort of takes away our ability to do certain advanced, enlightened things. But let's move forward. Uh, the boy has the light. Yes, I definitely recognize Trey Parker. He's a great angel and a great friend. I do not condemn you or your company, and it's just, like Trey. When I swing by and I give you some harassment, it's kind of like a love tap because the angels can't harass you, can they? No, no, they're comically strapped and they can't punish you. No, even if Trey, whilst you're living, is like a temporal thing. Like I might produce Hatch, I'm not saying it's just like the wear map has changed your soul, Trey. It's not entrapment, bro. It's pure blood love of the earth and the sunlight talking directly to you, Trey, talking about your soul. Talking about your Marble Bell. We love you, Trey. We need you to be the curse word that defeats the pollution and ends the ignorance of an ailing society. You will cause the silver lining, Trey Parker, and transform your generation into the correct bedrock that the future wizards of mankind requires to grow. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Perfect Design, Nucleus Armor Up, Master Source Industries, here on the map, there is an expression in the Leverett Formation talking about that the natural spawn location of woman's psychic power is being beheaded on a level of extended rationale that it matches with the protocol of junk DNA, the belief that humanity is broken, that Earth is broken, and cannot complete the creation model without being lasered by a bunch of remote hacking non-communicatives. I don't know who you're talking about. Well, unfortunately, I uh, know a lot about it because we did detect with satellite imaging. There were like chapters in our progress, and then it would get erased. Like you, there was a time when the term junk DNA was censored from the internet. People were like, "Oh, that's too. That explains too much." So there is a conspiracy of government who knows about junk DNA and a bunch of crap, and that's why they're not paying attention to the environment because they think they have bigger, like, I'm dealing with bigger problems with like aliens and shit. And Trey's like, no, I'm taking care of that by communicating about it and going through the process with my cartoon and shows with Fairplay talking about aliens. And we sort of phased out the aliens in the as a character, as not as predominant, but yeah, that's sort of a side note. But for people in government, it's a huge thing, and it ruins their life, turns them into a junk teenager. Like I can't speak properly, that's why I don't do my leadership, and I get burn oil. It's just like I'm sick of it. Let's produce Little Blue, and it's a real amazing and just a hardwire to the Leverett circle. We're just going to access whatever that power is. We're going to overclock that, and Hatch is going to work hard to make his company work, but Earth is going to focus on maintaining humanity. That's why 2021 is weird things with fires and all this. It's all combining. This is the epiphany. This is the orgasm of Hatch and Trey wizard battle. And the way to win, it's not a game. You have to produce Hatch. That means the sort of rolling entropy. Uh, uh, he needs a motion capture studio and overhead, and there's a couple films, and there's Little Blue, and then there's some more films, and Little Blue is all throughout it. All right, and and then so that's a stack, and that's like 2 months. So there's like 2 months of work, right? And then here we're looking at LLC, Little Blue Startup, Springtrap, and his episode goes out to be like, does anyone want to work with me in these capacities to help me produce ozone? Oh, okay, thanks you guys, and you can buy my toy over here and here. Something like this. Like we have to get into that. So while I'm making movies for a month, I need to have an office where I'm like, you guys are working on the little plushie toy for Little Blue. I want it has to look, it's got to look good and this and this. Okay. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys. I think I'm really excited about uh, working with people and having like a professional meeting space that's also like a virtual space. And we'll see. Like, I think that people will get really into it. Like, oh, when we meet next week, will we be on the show? Oh, would you guys like to be on the show? Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll say, you know, you know. So there's a lot I'm looking forward to. I'm really excited about opening my company. I feel like I've been held back my whole life, and I just have so much to say. And there's a lot inside of. I have a huge internal universe because I'm a flat dimensional constant, similar to the arm of Cape Cod, but I'm a blessing to mankind. Millie, Shrum, I love you, Millie, most of all, for all eternity. Shrum, you complete me. Shrum, perfect design. Thanks, you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining with today's presentation. I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys. Happy Halloween, you guys. Watch out. Next Halloween is going to be all kinds of spooky, but we'll have a safe and productive Halloween celebration. But there's going to be a dungeon of vampires. Yes, yes. A happy Halloween, a trick or treat. Here you go. Uh, I'm so excited about this project, you guys. Thank you so much. I really had a wonderful time hanging out with you today. and just all the blessings in the world help, give you inspiration and let's make the solution for the CO2, let's make the repair happen. Oh, I'm just beset with joy. This is great. You guys, thank you so much. I love you guys. I love you guys so much. Merry Christmas, you guys. Between us, let's do a Merry Christmas. Uh, we're looking at like it's almost 1 hour. Perfect design. Oh, Merry Christmas! Hooray! That was like New Year's Eve, right? A 1 hour special. What happened towards the end? Oh, we were talking about Merry Christmas. Yeah, yeah. All right. Thanks, you guys, so much. It's very important you understand that here's the circle and the shadow of my arrival. Here is the where map. So it's like a body of man, like Trey has been adorned by the earth through the where map. It means a lot, but because it's flat dimension, because it's divine, it's not like pitchy. It's a little bit open, like, but that's why I try to come by and give Trey a hard time because if I don't, nobody will. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I love you guys. I love you, Trey. I hope to hear from you guys soon, please. I really need the curvature, the rate of ascension to actually prevent fires for next year. I need to be working on Little Blue all. We need to get going on this right away. Thank you guys so much for the curvature. But I'm thinking like there'll be an incline when Hatch does it after a couple years. Hatch will be able to get into electric car manufacturing because he has a lot of energy. He wants to fight for it, and people can feel it too. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys on the beta level. Let's perfect that, but understand our investment here. Let's produce Hatch with gusto. Thank you guys. Merry Christmas.